We've come to the Fold in the Hill, Sidcup, to interview freelance dance teacher, movement director and choreographer Mark Smith. Since training at the Royal Ballet and the London Studio Centre, Mark has gone on to forge a hugely successful career across TV and theatre. His work has been showcased at the Royal Variety Performance and London 2012's Paralympic Games opening ceremony, as well as at prestigious international venues such as the Birmingham Hippodrome, Wells Millennium Centre and Friedrichstad Palast in Berlin. His unique, imaginative style draws on genres such as ballet, tap, Latin, contemporary dance and freestyle jazz, amongst many other styles, and he's known for incorporating sign language into his movement. Mark has been nominated for multiple Off-West End and Broadway World UK awards, alongside his Olivier Award nomination for Best Theatre Choreographer in 2024 for The Little Big Things. Mark and I have actually worked together on a couple of shows, most notably the Colour Purple UK tour, in which I played the lead role of Celie, and he's one of the most giving, centred and talented choreographers working in the business today. Let's head inside so we can start working on our plie. My name is Misha Bryan, and this is Stage and Screen.
3, 2, 1, let's go!
Mark.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. That's lovely to see you.
And you. Yeah, thanks so much for saying yes. It's an honour. It really is. And I see that you came in purple.
Yes, of course, to you. This is our connection, and this is how we first met, through the colour purple.
Yes, absolutely. You look dashing. You look very dashing in purple. Gorgeous. So we're here at Bird College.
Yes.
Today, and can you tell me your connection to the college?
Yeah, I'm a registered artist here, where I can use their space and work with students to develop new choreography work. And also, I can bring in my companies like Deaf Men Dancing and DMD Plus and other projects I've done in the past called Synergy, and I've used the Bird College studio space to create new work, and I've used it for workshops as well. And nearly every year they invite me to choreograph a 30-minute dance for a showcase called Create, which I love this big project. So yeah, that's my connection with Bird.
Brilliant. So you're like royalty round here. Shouldn't you be wearing your crown?
Well, I think this is like a second home for me, really, in a way, because they always make me feel welcome. I know everyone in this building, all the staff, are so nice, and they really welcome me with open arms, and anything that I need to do or work on. Like, for example, before I start working on the Colour Purple and the Little Big Things and other shows, I can do workshops with the students to try out some choreography ideas with them, and sometimes directors join me to work with the students. And they loved that. They were like, oh, this is so nice to do workshops, to try out ideas, what they've got in their head, and make it happen with the students. So, which is really nice at Bird College to offer that space.
Absolutely. And it's so good for the students because they're getting to work with professionals who are actually doing it, and then get to be around you guys. That's great.
Yeah, and they could put it on their CV to say they'd be part of the workshop for whatever show, so which is nice. But I think good for them, really. And yes, you're right. I think it's a great experience for them to learn from choreographers and directors from the professional world.
Is Create, is it kind of part of their end of year show, or is it just something that they do as an opportunity to perform?
Yeah, it's part of their course, really. It's not the end of the year show.
Right.
Create is basically, it's spelled C-R-E-8. So
Number 8, literally.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
yeah.
I think that's very clever the way they write it. And basically, it's 30 students who get split into 4 groups, and you get 2 groups for musical theatre, and they work with directors or choreographers who create a between 30 to 45-minute showcase. It's like all different songs with new story. They do something different and creative. And also, the other 2 dance groups are for dance. So, and again, they work with different choreographers, including me. So what I love about Create is it's like playground for me because I can go in the room and just explore ideas that I've always wanted to do, but I never get the opportunity to do it in the professional. So, and it's just me on my own without having to compromise with other people. It's my idea, a shoes, music that I want, or image that I found, or book, or films, or anything that I'm inspired by, and I want to try them out with the students. And what I love about it, I mean, the students are amazing. They're really strong technical dancers who could do anything.
Right.
So, and I can ask them, can you do backflip or something? They can do it. So,
Brilliant.
which is nice.
You can see that the students love you because as we were walking through the hallway, one girl went, when she saw you, and I was like, oh, that's so nice.
In a nice or scary way.
In a nice way. And I could see that she was almost trying to think of what to say, and then by the time she figured it out, we'd walked past. And so I was like, it was so lovely to see. I thought, oh, Mark's a star.
Well, I'll tell you what I love about the students at Bird College. They're so respectful and they know who you are. They are very well researched about who's who in the business, so
Yes.
they're very aware of that. I think they've been brought up and trained very well here in Bird College, and that what will help them when they graduate into professional college. As you know, in this business, it's such a small world. We know each other, and reputation is so important to have a good reputation and connection with all those people. And people never forget who you are about the way how you treat people, the way how you behave, or how you act professionally, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't forget about that. And then maybe some students here that I will work in the future, or I'll put their names forward to someone who are looking for specific types of dancers or actors or performers.
And it's good to know that you come here and you're pushed creatively as well.
Yeah.
So has that creative mindset always been with you, and have you always wanted to be a dancer?
A dancer, yes, absolutely. I first started dancing when I was about 3, which
Oh,
was
right.
very young. It was at the time when I was late diagnosed being deaf until I was actually about 4 or 3.5, and which is quite late really, because nowadays babies have hearing aids straight away, so from birth. Yeah, so, but for me, I was rather late, so I hardly spoke any word. The only words I ever spoke was mum, and I called everyone mum.
Oh, really? Wow.
And I remember with my older sister, Julie, and she used to go to dancing school, which my mum used to take her there. And obviously, I'm dragged along and I'm forced to sit down and I'm watching the classes. And I became so fascinated seeing them dancing and moving around. And at the time, I could hear anything, but I could feel the vibration from the piano, and I could feel it. It was a new sensation for me to feel. And watching them moving in time with the music, I became very fascinating. And obviously, because I was very isolated and in a silent world, obviously, so this is my key to get through to discovering that, dancing could be my new forms of expressing myself, to be able to communicate through physicality and movement, because obviously I was limited with my speech and words and vocabulary. So, anyway, so I remember apparently I was dancing in the background,
Right.
trying to copy the dance. And the teacher spotted me, came up to my mum, said, "Would your son like to join in the class?" And my mum was like, "Well, he might as well, because he's here," you know.
Yeah.
So, and since then, that's how I fell in love with dances since then. And I've done ever since I was 3.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I always say, this is really interesting.
Is that cute? Oh, isn't it?
I always say this because we were watching a politics programme the other day, and Beban Kidron was on. You know, Lee Hall, the writer, his wife.
Sorry, who?
Beban Kidron. She is a director, and she's like a campaigner and things. And she was speaking about how she couldn't speak for a while because she had damage on her vocal folds when she was younger.
Oh.
And then I was thinking about Maya Angelou, because she spent years not speaking. And then I thought about myself, and I thought people used to tease me about my speaking voice, so I wouldn't speak sometimes, and I wouldn't smile because of the gap in my teeth.
Oh, you've got a beautiful smile.
Oh.
Absolutely. I love watching your face. It makes me smile. So, yes,
thank
absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
And then now you saying how you're in that silent world, and how you kind of like had to express yourself through the dance. And then like Beban and Maya and you're so creative and so brilliant at what you do,
Thank you.
each of you. Do you think that little bit of kind of, not trauma, but kind of something having happened to you early in life has
Yes.
made you more focused in on people and feelings and caring and how things go together in the world, and it's made you more creative in the person you are?
Yeah, I think because obviously I don't have any aspect of what's going on outside, I could just focus on dance or performance, and or the choreography, the same thing. So, and that when I become really, not the word upset, but really more focused on it, because that's my only connection I've got through dance, really.
Yes.
Because obviously I could not speak and I couldn't hear back then. I didn't wear hearing aids back then. So that's why through dance, it just helped me to express myself into new forms of communication, really.
Yeah.
And I think that probably gave me more drive and more passion about it. It gave me joy. It still gives me joy, absolutely. So, but yeah, until I start wearing hearing aids for the first time, it was like a whole new world. Oh, I can hear music as well as feel the vibration, and that gave me more passion and more joy about dancing. Yes.
Yeah. Where are you feeling the vibration when you're feeling it within your body from the music?
I feel it through my feet first. So what I like to, when I'm in the studio space, I like to have a speaker on the floor instead of attached to the wall up in the ceiling, because the reason why I like to put the speaker on the floor is because while the music playing, I like to put my hand on the speaker so I could feel the vibration travelling through my hand into my body, and it follows my heartbeat. So, and that's how I move away, and I could feel the vibration under my feet. I tend to wear bare feet sometimes, so which is what that men dancers do. When we rehearse the room, we all wear bare feet so we can feel the vibration. So that's how we work. And that's why when we do perform within a show, they tend to be bare feet. So I like to transfer how we work onto the stage. So yeah, and with my hearing aid, it helped to amplify all the sound, but it doesn't pick up everything. So I mean, every person have a very different hearing levels. We don't hear the same. What are my hearing frequency is that what I hear really well is low sound for the bass up to middle frequency.
Okay.
So I can hear bass and drum or something low sounding. But I can't hear very well high frequency sound or high pitched sound,
Okay.
like tree rattling or birds singing or something really high pitched sound or flutes, which is I'm not very good to hear that. So I like to work with music that got a really good low sound level to middle frequencies. So that's how I connect very well. And I like music to be quite simple, a simple rhythm, which is why I like electronic music.
Right.
That got a very good, clear, low sound in
Yeah.
there. With classical music, I've struggled to hear that because there's so many layers, you know, with flute, violin, cellos, or whatever they got. To me, I appreciate classical music, especially Beethoven. He was deaf himself, and if you listen to his music, very low sounding, which is really interesting, and I relate to that. But most classical music got too many layers that I find it overwhelming, that my hearing aids can't pick up every sound. They tend to cut off some of the sound.
Okay.
Whereas electronic music, it's just got a simple rhythm and the beat is just clearer and accessible for me. So, but yeah, so yeah, that's how I work with music. So yeah.
Yeah, and the kind of electronic music has got that lovely, a lovely kind of thing, and you can get all animalistic
Yeah,
about it.
definitely.
That's so interesting. If you are having to choreograph a piece and it does have something high pitched, do you ask for things to be moved down the octave, or do you just work with what you can hear?
Mostly I work with what I can hear, and then I will ask other people in the room, so is there any sound that I'm missing out on?
Okay.
And they could tell me that I heard this sound go beep, 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 beep,
Right.
which I can't hear that. Oh, right, okay. Then I create a choreography to respond to this sound that they can hear, but I can't hear that.
Got you.
So, and that's how deaf men dancing and DMD Plus, that's including other dancers, and basically each of us got a different hearing levels, as I said before. So we tell each other what we can hear, and we follow each other, and we go, oh, you heard that one. Okay, everybody, let's follow that sound. Oh, you
Right.
heard that sound. Let's follow that sound. That's how we work together. It's more of a collaboration of sharing of what we can hear or can't hear. So that's how I work. And also, when I'm choreographing musical, for example, I tend to read the word of a lyric, but I do have interpreter or assistant to help point at the lyric, so I can read at the same time listening to actors singing,
Yes.
so, or the recording of it. So I'll read and listen at the same time, and I'll read it so many times. I tend to listen to one song about 100 times, so I'm really familiar with every beat and rhythm and the timing and the words before I go in the room, and I already know exactly what the music and the song really well, so I'm ahead. And that's how I have to work when I'm working with choreographing musicals.
But that's great though, because looking at the lyrics themselves, it makes you connect with actually what's going on within the scene. And that's so important, I guess, because you can't just throw your arms up and then it's got no reason, there's no reason for why you're doing that, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more of a lyric driven than about music in the background. I do balance both, but I like to focus on the lyrics too. That's what tells the story.
Yeah.
It's about the characters, it's about the show, it's about the play or the script. So, and that's what I tend to follow, really, is the lyrics. But at the same time, with the music in the background, I work with the MD or composer who helped me going through the music and the beats and rhythms and notes so that I can help me to understand.
Thank you so much for watching and listening. However you're consuming this podcast, please consider subscribing, liking and leaving us a 5-star review, as this helps us to reach a wider audience. Your support is very much appreciated. Now back to the show. When did you learn British Sign Language?
Oh, I actually learned BSL quite late, actually.
Oh,
so
right.
because I was late diagnosed being deaf at the age of 4, and because I was so behind with vocabularies and words, speaking words, that through GP who told my mother to just to go to this school in Woodsford, and who specialised in speech therapy.
Right.
And so I went there, basically fast-tracked me to learn speech therapy so I can catch up, because obviously I was so far behind. And that school banned sign language, so it was not allowed. Nobody would allow to sign at all. And I remember in class we had to wear headphones over our hearing aids, a massive big headphone with red and blue, and so we had to really concentrate, lip read, and trying to hear what the teachers are saying. It's a way of training our brain to behave like a human person in a way. Hearing person, sorry, a hearing, yeah. And so anyway, but that's the reason why they banned sign language, to make us learn to speak more. And I remember during the playtime, lunchtime, we used to secretly sign to each other without being seen. Otherwise, if we get caught out, we get told off, or, you know. So, because it's a forbidden thing to do, to sign to each other. So that's why I didn't really learn BSL till later, when I started working in disability theatre, like Grey Theatre Company, which spelled GREAEA or something like that. Right. Yeah, it's a disability theatre company. It's been around for years. And theatres like Deputy Theatre, then Bingus Smith Theatre, and and Ramps on the Moon is another one. And that's how I learned sign language through work, by working with deaf actors, and then I learned from that. So really, that's how I learned sign language, through work.
Was it difficult to pick up? Because it's a whole language, isn't it? I guess you have to learn the alphabet, and from the beginning, my name is like everything. Was it hard?
It was hard, yeah, because I didn't feel great about it, by the fact that I'm so behind on BSL that I should have learned it from the beginning, and I should have been given the option, the choice, to say, do I focus on sign language or do I focus on speech therapy, or have both? So I wasn't given the choice when I was younger then. I'm grateful for the school who gave me a good speech therapy, because it helped me to speak the way I'm still learning to speak. It's not perfect. And I still occasionally have speech therapy. Okay. Of course, yeah, just to brush up my speech, purely to be able to communicate, especially for work, which is important. But I'm grateful for that. But I do wish I was given another option to do sign language. So, so when I finally started learning sign language, I felt so behind, and I had to catch up very quickly. So, But everybody in the theatre and everybody was fine about it. They were aware about it. They've been very supportive.
Good. I mean, your school was coming from the right place, but I think it was the way they went about you guys not being able to sign. It was just a bit like it was prohibition, like, oh, no alcohol, or something like that. It's like, but the benefit is that your lip reading is incredible.
Yes, thank you. It's not easy, lip reading. Sometimes I get words wrong with words,
Yeah, but you're the grandmaster, lip reading, insane. Because I sometimes speak too quickly, and when we first met, I was like, oh my God, he's picking up everything I'm saying. Darren can't even do that.
You're very clear, so I understood you very, very clearly. So, I think because you're aware of it and you're making sure you're seeing me face to face in a clear light without noise in the background, that's when it becomes difficult when I'm in a noisy situation, like cafes or bars or public transports or something like that. That is really difficult for me to... Your voice get cut out and I have to really concentrate on lip reading. Right. So it's not... I may get confused by some of the words that I thought you said, which is why with a hearing aid it helped me to hear your voice at the same time, so I know I'm getting it correctly. So
No, it's just brilliant.
Thank you so much.
That's what
Thank you.
I was going to say because you were saying about connecting with people through dance.
Yes.
And then now you can connect with people through BSL.
Yes.
So is connecting with people the reason why you are known for putting the sign language into your shows and into your movement?
Yes, absolutely. It just makes sense to incorporate sign language in my choreography because it's part of my deaf identity and it's part of my culture. And I want to celebrate sign language because obviously, like I said earlier on at school, we were forbidden to use sign language. Especially, there's a very famous story at Milan, 1880, was a Congress meeting where over 100 congressmen who voted against sign language and encouraged speech therapy, and only 2 people voted for sign language.
Really?
Yeah, so, and sign language was banned for like 100 years. So, and only juridically it should be recognised as part of the natural language now, BSL. So, and I felt that one of the reasons why I want to use sign language in my choreography is to celebrate that beautiful language and as a person and for all deaf people and hard of hearing people. We have the right to own that language. It's our language, and I want to embrace it and show people, especially I've seen a lot of the next generation young people who now wear cochlear implant at the back of their ear, cochlear implants, and they started to speak more, obviously, because it helped. It's not a cure for their hearing. It improves their hearing a bit better than normal hearing aids. But now their sign language becoming a bit less. So, and that's why I thought, right, this is important to use sign language in my choreography so the next generation say, please, embrace that beautiful language, keep that going. It's a bit like Shakespeare. Keep that language alive.
Yeah.
And it's still alive through so many different versions, like Romeo, Juliet, As You Like It. There's so many different versions, but the language is still the same. So, and that's what I want to do with sign language in the choreography.
Yeah.
And it's part of my language, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of schools in the UK who are bringing in sign language as a GCSE now, aren't they?
Yes.
Which is great. And we had someone knock our door at home to tell us about it. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. And I've got to say, as an actor, because I know obviously we've done a couple of things together, when you incorporate the sign language into the show, there is more of a connection because you're touching yourself when you're saying something, and then when you're saying sorry, was that?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So
Yeah,
when
absolutely right.
I had to say sorry to someone in the show, and I was like, oh my god, because it's near my heart as well. I really felt it, you know, and I was like, wow, I meant to say sorry, but I really mean sorry now that I'm saying it. You know, it's just, I think it's beautiful as well.
Yeah.
And it raises awareness and it gives audiences something else to think about, because it's like I could just say sorry, or I could say sorry, and someone might see that and think, oh, what was that sign? And then go and investigate more. So,
absolutely, I agree. And especially the directors I've worked with in the past, like having me in the room working with the actors, where as movement director, I teach them some simple movement with a little bit of sign language incorporated, and it's really good for the actor to be more clearer, more aware about the words they're saying, and you can hear, you know, I mean, I can hear the difference when you say that. The word of a story sounds more truthfully, more real, and more honest. So rather than sorry, without so, and I found the director loves seeing that, having me on board to teach actors to learn a little bit of basic sign language, because it helped the way how they delivered, how they project their lines and the words.
So, was dancing something you took to naturally, or did you start doing it and think, ooh, I'm not very flexible?
Well, I don't when I perform, yeah. I think I find as I get older, obviously I'm not as flexible as I used to be, so I have to accept that, you know. My body's not going to be the same as it used to be 20 or 30 years ago. And that's hard, because in your head, you know, I find I'm like, yeah, I could do, you know, kick my leg up, or do a perfect triple pirouette, or just or something like that, which is what I used to do then. But obviously, I can't do much now. But what I like about my style of performance compared to when I was younger, it was more about technical, about the how I've been trained from the college, or like London Studio Centre and the Royal Ballet, which is all pure technicals. But as I get older, it's more about truth in the performance, about the emotion, and find other forms of physicality in my body that I've not used before when I was younger.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just trying to find something positive in my performance, that I could find a connection, new way of it. So that's how I keep growing and keep moving forward. Yeah.
I'm guessing, without you knowing it, you're way more stretchy and supple. Say if you were Mark Smith, the accountant, you would have been a very different person, wouldn't you?
Yeah, very different, yeah.
Absolutely. Like when we saw you walking in, you were like, oh, bouncing with the excellent posture, you know? I think it probably has set you in good stead, hasn't it? Having danced from such a young age.
Yes.
It's set you up for later in life, and I guess now you're feeling the benefits without probably knowing it, maybe?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it never goes away. You know, when at a teacher, where I teach, I've done a technique called Mattox, Mattox, or just adulation. It's a technique that involved with adulation from the core, from the inner. It's basically adulated jazz, and with a lot of arms, the legs, the footwork, and the hips, and the shirt, and the head, all happening at the same time. So it's a bit like that, really.
Right.
So, and that's what I do specialise teaching this kind of techniques. But when I walk in the room, I automatically create that physicality of how the style of mathematics or jazz adulation, and I create that. My body do change to become that style. I demonstrated at the arms exercise doing that, and I do a full plie at the same time, flat back, and then head rolling and all that. And
Carry on.
and what I love about mathematics or jazz adulation is that they use drum. And they have like a round drum with a stick, and you just bang away. That's what teachers do. And I had a lady teaching, her name is Jackie Mitchell, and who taught me at London Studio Centre. And she used to run Millennium Performing Arts College. So, and she's the best mathematics teacher. They were so lucky to be taught by her. And, but she create that present that's scary, like the old school, when you're scared of a teacher,
Right.
but at the same time you respect and you absolutely admire that person. You hunger, want to learn from that person so much. That's how I felt with Jackie Mitchell. But now there's so many different types of mathematics teachers all over the UK who teach different ways.
Right.
But I like to stick true to how Jackie Mitchell taught.
So you studied at the Royal Ballet,
Yes.
and then the London Studio Centre.
That's right.
So what were the different kind of approaches to dance that they had? Obviously, ballet is in the title. Apart from that, aside from the ballet part, what were the approaches? How were they different? And why did you study at both places? What were you getting from them?
Yeah, well, before I went to the Royal Ballet School, I was going to local dance schools in Dagenham. That's where I was based in. And then I moved to Canvey Island to carry on go to local dance schools, where it was mainly about dance competition and doing grade work.
Okay.
And and I remember there was a school called Doreen Winfrey School, and who specialised in ballet and more sound work. And she suggested to my mother about me going to audition for the Royal Ballet School. And my mother was really surprised about that. She thought, and the teacher Doreen Winfrey, which I'm very grateful for, she applied to the Royal Ballet to do audition, and it was for the junior associate, and there were hundreds of kids there, and I was the only person there, and I got picked to be in it, which is amazing. So the reason why I went to the Royal Ballet School is to further my training on ballet technique and to improve a bit more, gaining strength in the techniques and in ballet. And that's what helped me a lot through that. But when it was time for me to leave school and go to colleges or university, whatever, I decided I could have easily carried on stay on with the Royal Ballet, but I felt limited with it, especially dance in Korea. I felt it might be a short lifespan, or I may be limited in my dance career work.
Right.
So I thought I want to learn other forms of dance to help broaden my horizon. So that's why I chose to go to London Studio Centre. Back then, it was in the early 90s, and I'm showing my age now. And it was at the time, it was they were called the Fame School, which is very, very similar to New York's performing arts school. And what was so unique about London Studio Centre is that they taught so many different styles of dance, contemporary, musical theatre, drama, and commercial. And I thought, that's what I want to do. That will really stretch my training more. So that's the reason why I went to London Studio Centre to learn other forms of dance to help me get more work in the future.
Okay. Is there one form of dance, like one style of dance, that gives you the foundation from which everything else can come from? Or does it just depend on the person? And you could just learn tap, or you could learn jazz and still be fabulous? Or have you got to do ballet?
Yeah, I would advise them to take up on ballet class, because ballet is a very technique that you will learn that is a form behind all other styles of dance, musical theatre, jazz or contemporary, even tap or even Spanish, jazz adulation. So really, ballet is a foundation, it's a basic that it's really good to learn from there. And then you can, once you learn the ballet, you develop the ballet technique in it, you can approach other style of dance more easier. It really helps a lot.
So, after you graduated from the London Studio Centre, were you straight into work, or were you immediately thinking, I'd like to choreograph? So were you just performing as a dancer, or were you thinking, actually, I want to tell other people what to do?
Yeah.
Or was it both?
A bit of both, really, I have to say. Yes, you're right, a bit of both. Mind you, I mean, I had a wonderful opportunity performing in dance companies, and I toured, and I've learned from so many different choreographers, which personally, in the back of my head, I always knew I wanted to be a choreographer.
Right.
So, but, which is what I've noticed a lot of students, when they graduated, they want to be a choreographer straight away. And I just thought, maybe you should learn to perform first, just to build your craft and just build up experience and learn with different choreographers, just build your way up. And then you can become a choreographer later. So at least you could say, I've done my performance, and now I'm ready to move on. So, yeah, I always knew I wanted to be a choreographer, so that was just a very natural skills for me. Even when I was young, I used to make up dance at home, and used to play music like Prince or Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson and Madonna or anyone like that. Great Jones, and I couldn't wait to show my dance teacher at the time, to show my little dance. And when they used to run out of choreography, they used to ask me for help. Have you got any steps or movements that we could use? And I just thought, how about that?
Brilliant.
So it seemed to be a very natural thing for me in choreography. So yeah, I've always knew I wanted to be a choreographer in the future. So I just focused on the performance and did like assisting work and done captain roles, observing choreographers, like shadowing them. And I just watched many shows and looked on YouTube and videos. And before I went into choreography.
Okay. So your first standalone job as choreographer, what was that, and how did you get it?
Oh, wow. I have to say, this show that really kickstarted me to become a theatre choreographer is it was a Gilbert and Sullivan musical called I'll Thing, and it's called the all-male version. It's an all-male I'll Thing, which was directed by Sacha Reagan, who runs the small theatre called the Union Theatre.
Okay.
And at Suffolk in London. And they're still there, so, but back then it was a smaller, tiny little theatre underneath the train running past, so yes. Yeah, such a very good. We've already been successful with other Gilbert and Sullivan musicals like Poets and Mikado, all the other musicals. Um, anyway, so when she started working on Ireland thing, and my name was on the list for her to see, and we had a great meeting. And I had this idea of it's topsy-turvy story, Ireland, these bonkers, and yeah, so and it's about the lords and the members of parliament, and then you got the other world are groups of fairies. Okay,
Right.
yeah, it's bonkers. It doesn't make sense. So, and you got the lords who are real people. You got fairies from the fantasy world, and are all men. They all even the fairies are played by men, and very funny. And it's really very funny. And my idea was to show the two completely different worlds. Is I gave the fairies sign language, which I call it fairy song, and it's in the style of very balletic, a ballet style technique, but with sign language incorporated. And the lords have their own speaker voice and more operatic. So Sacha Reagan loved that idea. And one of another reason why I went with the idea of creating two different worlds is very much related to how I've always lived my life. Is I've always been in the middle between deaf and hearing worlds. So I've never really fully fit in either world. Right. So I've always been in the middle where I'm jumping in the deaf world with signing and in the deaf culture and the community. And then also I joined in the hearing world, which very much speaking, and yeah, I just learned to fit in both worlds. So, and that's the reason why I had that idea to put that in Ireland thing, to create two different worlds in the show.
So it's really interesting. I say it all the time. How you were saying how choreographers get jobs. So when you hear of a job or your agent hears of a job, then you kind of put ideas together. Like, how does it work? Because I go in and I sing a song and I do a bit of a scene, What do you do when you're in the room, when you're kind of pitching yourself to be the choreographer?
What I do, I 50% prepared everything, so I have a very strong. Over there, I have a production meetings with directors and costume designers and MDs, and we discuss about ideas. And when I read script or listen to music, I'm very good at that, coming up with ideas on the spot that feel naturally to come up. And especially when I sit down with the director, I'm like, oh, how about something that I did, and they go, oh yeah, I love that. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it works better, be spontaneous, to be on the spot, it just happens, rather than thinking too much preparation can hold me back. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just tend to have, like I said, 50% is preparation, idea, and they go in the room and share it with everyone. But I do ask them to maybe bring up something that I feel inspired, or give me more idea. I go, oh, I love what you just did there. Can we expand on that, or can we play on that? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I worked 50-50 really.
Okay, and is that the same? So now, because you're famous and fabulous and everything, and everything. Do people just offer you jobs now? Are we at that stage where people just go, we want Mark and that's it? Or do you sometimes have to still go, oh, I'd like to be involved in that project. Let me give them some ideas and show them what I can do. How does that work?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have had directors in the past, who, when I asked them, I said, what style of choreography are you looking for from me? And they some of them tend to go, I want the Mendante style of choreography,
Right.
which is very much what I call it DMD style, where sign language incorporated in the choreography, it becomes a universal language through choreography. And that's what they want. And I'm like, oh, I see what you're looking for. Then I put that style into their shows. So, but yeah, that's what I tend to get hired for it, which is great. I like that. So, but there are shows that I thought, oh, I would be perfect for that. I would have loved to have done that. Why would I not sing for that? So, and I have put my names forward to when I heard shows coming up. But unfortunately, I'm not the right person for what they're looking for in particular, or they've already got choreographers on board.
Right.
So no, I don't get everything handed to me in my way. So I still, I don't know what the right word, chasing for work. I'm still am. And nothing changed really. I still have to keep promoting myself or put myself out there. I'm still writing to people. I'm still writing to and contacting theatres, producers and directors, casting directors. I asked my agent to help me to put my name forward when I see something on social media or website or heard people talking about it. Yeah, I'm still pushing myself forward, which is not easy because it's quite hard work to keep putting yourself out there. But it can be rewarding in the end when you get the job.
Yeah. Has that changed, do you think? Do you think because social media and things like that are so, like everyone's so reliant on it, do you think everyone goes to social media now? And if you're not on there pushing yourself, then you're going to be forgotten. Whereas in the beginning, was it more, oh, Mark's brilliant, let's just get him? Was it more word of mouth before? And now it's more, you got to be on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, the social media, there is a pros and cons about it, I have to say. The good thing about social media is very accessible for people with disability and deaf like me who can't use a phone, and that's difficult too. And also communication. When like word of mouth goes around, I tend to miss out what I don't hear.
Right.
So I do miss out on opportunity that's going on around or rumours going on around.
Right.
So social media really helped to build that connection and a much quicker way of promoting your work and your profile. And of course, you have to use Instagram or X or Facebook or anything like that to use that as part of work to get work in the future. That's the change about that. And also, there's so many choreographers now, and I think it's much harder and more competitive, I find, compared to when I first started with Ireland, which is about 15 years ago.
Right.
It wasn't that too many choreographers then. So, I think it's much tougher now, obviously through social media, stuff like that. I remember years ago when I was young, working professionally at a dance or performance, and I couldn't use a phone. I used to rely on my mother to make a phone call, which for me, speaking to directors or producers, and then she translated to me, and that quite embarrassing situation, but I had no choice.
Yeah.
And also, I used to look at the back of the stage newspaper and circle around, and I attend open calls myself. And I didn't have an agent then, and I did very much self-employed for myself. I just kept going, really. But back then, it would have been so much easier if I had social media and text message and email. It would have been so much easier then. I would have been more independent when I was younger.